Our final guest this evening is a digital strategist and an analog opportunist. A child of the Chicago suburbs, he cites his years attending college in Ohio as his most formative, and his years since living in Chicago's city proper as his most enriching. In his spare time, he enjoys comic books, scotch, and the oeuvre of the faces. He lives on the South Side in Beverly with his wife and daughter. Welcome back to Tuesday Funk, Scott Smith.
I got this.
Yeah,
You've
all
been
right.
working so hard.
No.
I've been drinking 90-minute IPA, so if my words are slurred, it's because I am tipsy. This is new for me because normally when I do readings, which is not often but enough, I usually throw in a bunch of jokes or the word fuck. So this is new because I don't say fuck once in this piece. Tried to get them out now. Over the Labor Day weekend, I was thinking about what it means to do hard work. Hard work is filled with lots of little details that eventually pay off in the long term, but aren't much fun to hear about until you see the results. I've been thinking about what hard work looks like because of some news stories about Jaheim Benton and his Southside teammates from Jackie Robinson West, this year's United States Little League champions. Benton scored 5 runs in this series, including a winning run in the championship game. In a month of news stories dominated by violence in African American communities here in Chicago, in Ferguson, Missouri, and elsewhere, the story of a group of young inner-city black boys represented a pinnacle of American athletic accomplishment and contradicted an all-too-familiar narrative. This was a feel-good story on the scale of a big-screen movie playing out in real life. Just days after the team's victory, the Sun-Times reported Benton, along with his mother and father, had been sleeping in the homes of friends and family for the past few months. They were homeless. Both parents work, but have been unable to pay their rent on 2 part-time salaries. Benton's mother recently had her hours cut as an in-home care worker with Catholic Charities. The story was a stunning contrast to the events of a few days before at a homecoming rally for Benton and his teammates at Millennium Park. Many of Chicago's most powerful, the mayor, the governor, the state's attorney general, and others took the stage to praise the Jackie Robinson West team for its skill on the field, and all were happy to celebrate the win and connect their names to a Chicago victory. And the question on the minds of many was whether any of the politicians who shared the stage with Benton earlier in the week would step up and be there for him now that his family needed help. They didn't. The neighborhood did. Leek & Sons Funeral Home offered to pay the family's rent for a year. A Southside institution that has seen the effects of violence firsthand, Leek & Sons is no stranger to helping those in need, often providing discounted or pro bono funeral services to those who can't otherwise afford it. In a story on ABC 7 News, Spencer Leek Jr. said, "I would hope that this rent turns into a mortgage that turns into home ownership for them." In a separate Sun-Times story, he was quoted as saying, "My dad always said, a setback is a setup for a comeback." And we're going to try to help them come back. Other offers of assistance followed from various Southside businesses and institutions, including one from Leo High School in Auburn Gresham, which offered Benton's mother a job. It's easy to show up to a victory rally. It's harder to show up when there's lots of work to do and no cameras around. But the politicians were silent, even though an offer of help would have been an easy win for them. Would it have been an obvious piece of political grandstanding? Sure. But no more so than their appearance at the rally. And the reason they didn't is simple. People in power only like to take credit for a win, not blame for a loss. And the South Side has seen plenty of loss in the last year. 20 out of the 49 Chicago public schools were closed in this part of the city. It also sees a higher proportion of gun deaths and shootings, and many of these neighborhoods are starved for economic resources as well. These facts are all interrelated, and help to explain why a family like Jaheim Benton's would be homeless. The politicians who shared in Jackie Robinson West's win don't want to acknowledge their part in preventing any of the above. In the same way that electing one black man president doesn't make racism go away, sending one Southside baseball team to the Little League World Series doesn't alleviate the problems of poverty, violence, and homelessness in the neighborhoods of Chicago, but it definitely shows what happens when you provide the right tools to combat them. Jaheim Benton's family has a solution now, but what about all those other families who are on the brink, but don't have the benefit of a Little League World Series victory to bring attention to their plight? The young men of Jackie Robinson West either live in or live close to neighborhoods that make headlines due to gun violence. But they're also supported by families, churches, and school. Their victories and the offers of help from Leak & Sons and Leo High School show what is possible when we stop thinking there are either good or bad neighborhoods. The comments section of our local news sites are replete with those who sneer at the notion that the 20-year-old kid who was just arrested for shooting someone could be described by his mother as a, quote, good kid. The distance between a good kid and a bad kid is short, maybe only the distance between their home and Little League practice, or the nearest baseball field. And if we're going to talk about the importance of baseball to the youth of Chicago, it's worth talking about what happens to youth baseball when those cameras aren't around. In a piece for Substance News, George Schmidt notes that most Little League play isn't affordable for kids in vulnerable neighborhoods. So this leaves baseball fields at the school or park district fields. The frequent rains this summer showed that most park district fields weren't maintained well enough to withstand the weather, with flooding a constant problem. As for the school fields, well, we're back to those 20 closed Southside schools, and if there's no school, there's no field. Schmidt also notes Chicago's, quote, Chicago's public schools don't have frosh or frosh-soft baseball programs because the funding to pay the coaches for these programs has been eliminated, end quote. Never mind all the issues that plague Chicago's youth. We haven't even managed to invest in the very thing our city and state leaders just finished praising. Even if the most celebrated young men in our city aren't immune to the city's larger problems, then investment in their neighborhoods may be the key to solving it. Local businesses are present in a community for more than just the exchange of goods and services, and public schools are a linchpin of safety and stability for families with an uncertain home life. When we don't work to create strong networks of both in our neighborhoods and instead save those tax dollars for downtown, we aren't investing in our city's long-term future. This story is also a reminder that a systemic problem in any of Chicago's neighborhoods, violence, poverty, failing schools, homelessness, is a problem in our own neighborhoods. It's something the politicians at Jackie Robinson West Victory Rally should remember too. The victories of our youth come only when we take the steps necessary to prevent the losses. It's hard work that starts long before anyone takes the stage. Thank you.